Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here. I'm today with, I guess, what can be considered a summary video for 2025 in Toonami. Now, I'm going to make this quick here, or maybe I'll end up rambling. Who knows? I'm just doing this very, very off the cuff. And I guess when it comes to videos like this, where I haven't made one in a good number of months, I'm dragging here the last Toonami video I made was late June. I guess I have to at least briefly go over what I was doing instead of making Toonami videos. There really isn't a good story for that. I got much more busy in my life, I guess, and also add to that the fact that really this wasn't that eventful year, at least in terms of number of Toonami news updates. There were some very notable Toonami news to come out in 2025. Don't get me wrong. And to give it credit, 2025, I have, like I said, I've covered this channel, I've covered Toonami on this channel since 2018. 2025 was probably the best year for Toonami, at least among those years. You know, first things that come to mind were some of the show announcements we got. We got Dandadan this year put onto the block. We got Thousand Year Blood War that got put on the block. You got the continuation of Blue Exorcist that got put on the block. And those are really, really good things. And one of the concerns we had in previous years, and when I was listing the best and worst events, one thing that kept coming up in the worst of lists was like, where we aren't getting good shows. We aren't getting that many new shows. We keep having to throw reruns in the block. And actually, reruns are starting to kind of come back into the block now. But you know, at the same time, I did start. If you told me at the start of 2025, oh by the way, we're gonna get Dandadan, I would have never believed you. You tell me we're getting Thousand Year Blood War, I would have never believed you. But here we are. Those shows have been put on the block, and they've been, of course, very well received on the block. Now, other things in Toonami. I'm really just going over my older videos from this past year to kind of jog my memory a bit. And a couple of these I'm looking at were like, there were periods where we did have too many reruns. Like I'm looking at a video in February that was like, oh, we're rerunning the Fully Coolly Grunge again. And then when you get a show like another show I completely forgot was on Toonami is that Common Side Effects show made by Mike Judge. And this is a very unpopular opinion because I know that Common Side Effects was a very well received show. I didn't really like it that much. I could see its audience, but that audience isn't me. And compare that to the fact that Mike Judge really, I can't think of any other show from Mike Judge I don't like. Like, for example, I love the original Beavis and Butthead. I like the continuation of Beavis and Butthead that's still being put on Comedy Central. And also, like, of course, King of the Hill and the one season show they had called The Good Family. I thought it was an understated classic, you know. But it wasn't my cup of tea. Oh, here's another one I completely forgot about. Lazarus. Does anyone remember Lazarus? Because apparently I completely forgot we ever had Lazarus on the block. And what I said in the first episode was apparently very controversial because a lot of people really liked the first episode, but I said, look, in a few episodes you're gonna be like, this is lame and this is just a bunch of cliches stapled together. Lo and behold, a few weeks after I made that video, people started saying, wow, this is just a bunch of lazy cliches tied together and everything's just really lame and unoriginal. Called it. And the only lasting memory I could think that Lazarus has ever had were all the people just absolutely gooning over Christine in a bikini in like one episode. And that's it. But outside of that, Lazarus really never made much of an impact. That's actually, you could just say that's the general Toonami original uh, pathway. Is that, yeah, it's a good idea on paper, but then when you do it in practice, it's just kind of lame, doesn't really stand out, and you're gonna forget about it the second you turn off the TV. And yeah, not much to say about that. I was disappointed, but a bit, I guess, what's that term? Vindicated. And now I'm going over when Thousand Year Blood War got announced for the block, and when Dragon Ball Daima getting announced for the block too. That was another show announcement that kind of took me by surprise. I know Dragon Ball, of course, has had a very deep tradition of being on Toonami, obviously, but I didn't think we would get Daima on the block. And I'm saying this for a block that, for the longest time, just kept rerunning Kai and Super over and over and over and over again. But, you know, I digress. You know, But again, I guess have to mention more and more about like what I was doing the second half of the year instead of making videos. First off, I haven't completely stopped making content. If you follow my channel and if you follow my new TikTok, I have been posting bathroom reviews. So I go to fast food restaurants, I eat there, and then I go into the bathroom and I say, "Hey, is this a clean bathroom or not?" In a nutshell. Some bathrooms are pretty clean, and some, well, watch my channel, you'll see some bathrooms that are not as pleasant. But I see. Other stuff, I've been helping a friend of mine help set up her VTuber career. So that took some time, helping her set up with that. You know what? I'm going to do her a favor, and she would probably like me doing this. I'm going to link to some of her socials below. So if you see, like, who is this Nala Nana Hoshi? That's not Super Orange Cat. That's my friend. I would like you guys to, stick a look, take a look. Pretty interesting, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. But hopefully you guys like her content as much as I like her content, you know, so that would be fun. Of course, I've been working on my DeviantArt, and I've had some people cross over. It's like, hey, you're the guy on YouTube on my DeviantArt, which is actually blown up quite a bit. Like, for example, as of me making this on YouTube, I have 551 subscribers. As of at the second I am looking at it right now, on DeviantArt, I have 3,810 followers, you know, and that's kind of become a bit of a profit stream for me as well. So that's helping me make a little bit of pocket change on the side, I've things have been pretty good, you know. Are they perfect? No. But things are pretty good for me, you know. But again, hey, if there's big Toonami news that comes out, don't be surprised if you see another Super Orange Cat video coming your way, of course. But you know. But I guess to sum up all parts again, 2025, pretty good for Toonami. Couple lowlights. I didn't like Lazarus. That was a bit of a low light. And I guess there were periods where we kind of had to still throw in a little rerun or two. I know Rick and Morty the anime made an appearance back in the block. I think it's still on the block right now towards the end of the year. That was not cool. But again, you get Dandadan on the block. You get Thousand Year Blood War on the block. You get the Blue Exorcist. You get the Kyoto Saga on the block. You know, those are pretty good things, and it shows that in this era, even with the volatile corporate situation with Warner Bros. Discovery, there is still money being thrown Tanami's way, and Tanami, at least for the time being, appears to be very safe. So, what do you guys think? I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.